Hey guys, in today's video, we'll be talking about dating with intent and clarity from the very beginning, and why having the right conversations early can save you a lot of time, heartbreak, and confusion. Solving Modern Dating was created to share my personal experiences I've observed, and trends in modern culture to help people navigate the modern dating market and find their true love. I'm by no means a relationship expert, and if you think my advice is worthless, I understand. But at the end of the day, it is my goal to help people find love. Now, I want to start this video off by explaining where this idea came from, because it just didn't come out of thin air. I was listening to a podcast discussion where Ben Shapiro was talking about Jewish culture dating traditions, and one thing he said stood out to me. He talked about how in many Jewish dating cultures, the first few dates aren't about vibing or having fun. They're about asking serious life questions early on. Things like values, goals, family, and long-term direction come up almost immediately. And the purpose isn't to kill the romance or to turn dating into an interview. The purpose is to see if marriage level compatibility is even on the table. Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, I want to be very clear about what this video is not. It has nothing to do with religion. What this video is about is prioritizing the right way to have conversations early instead of avoiding them until you're already emotionally invested. And I want to make this disclaimer. I'm black. I primarily date black women. Everything I'm sharing here comes from my lived dating experience and from patterns that I've seen. This also comes from conversations I've had with friends, family, and people in my community. There was no massive study done. This is all just my personal experience. So let's get into the core concept, dating with purpose. Dating with purpose means you're not just dating because someone is attractive, fun, or makes you feel good in the moment. You're dating with a clear intention of finding a long-term partner, potentially a spouse, and you're willing to ask questions that determine compatibility early. In many Jewish traditions, dating is treated as a vetting process, not in a cold, robotic way, but in an honest and intentional way. The goal isn't entertainment, the goal is to see if the two people are aligned. Now compare that to how most of us date today. Dating has become a slow emotional experiment. We meet someone, we hang out, chemistry builds, feelings grow, sex often enters the picture, and only months later do we start asking questions that can actually determine whether the relationship will last. At that point, you're already attached and the stakes are much higher. So when I say important conversations, what does that actually mean? I don't mean trauma dumping on the first date or interrogating someone like you're a police officer. I mean discussing the areas of life that actually break relationships when people aren't aligned. Let's start with finances, because it's a big one. Does this person have debt? If so, how much and why? What are their spending habits? Are they a saver? Are they a spender? Do they believe in budgeting? What are their financial goals? These questions matter because money is one of the biggest causes of conflict in long-term relationships. Ignoring it early doesn't make it go away later. Then there's life direction. Where is this person going in life? What are their career ambitions? Are they content where they are, or are they striving for more? It's important to ask yourself, do these long-term goals align with your long-term goals? Do you want similar lifestyles? Do you want to live in the same type of place? City versus suburbs? Staying close to family versus moving away? These things seem abstract early on, but they become very real very quickly. Family is another major one. Do you have kids? Do you want kids? How many? What kind of parent do you want to be? What values do you want to pass on? How involved is your family in your life? These questions aren't too serious, they're foundational. Then there's religion and belief systems. Even if you're not religious, you still have a moral framework. You still have values. You still have beliefs about what's right and wrong, about gender roles, about responsibility, and about how life should be lived. Politics could fall into this category too, especially if beliefs are held strongly. You don't have to agree on everything, but there has to be enough overlap that you're not constantly at war with one another. Now let's contrast that with what most first dates actually focus on. We talk about favorite restaurants, brunch preferences, travel interests, hobbies, music, movie, all low-risk topics. And all that stuff is generally easy to agree on. And I get why people do this. These conversations are safe, they don't create tension, and these conversations are important to have. But here's the truth. These topics are low value. They rarely end relationships. You can like different restaurants and still be married for 40 years. You can have different hobbies and still build a life together. These things can be figured out. They're not deal breakers. The problem is that we spend weeks or even months building a connection based on these low-risk topics, while avoiding the high-impact conversations that actually determine whether the relationship should continue. And this is where avoiding hard conversations really backfires. What usually happens is chemistry forms, attraction builds, sex happens, emotional attachment grows, and then eventually the deal breakers come out. Someone has massive debt that they never mentioned. Someone doesn't want kids. Someone's values are completely incompatible. Someone has a life plan that doesn't include you. At that point, logic loses to emotion. Walking away becomes much harder. You start negotiating with yourself, you start making excuses, you start compromising on the things you swore you never would. Not because alignment suddenly appeared, but because attachment did. This is the emotional cost of delayed truth. Discovering major incompatibilities after bonding creates confusion. It wastes time, it breeds resentment. You start feeling like you were misled, even if the other person never technically lied. And often both people end up hurt. Early honesty does the opposite. It saves emotional energy. It protects both people. It prevents forced compromises. It allows you to walk away cleanly when something doesn't align, without feeling like you're ripping your heart out. Now, I want to address why this message is directed specifically towards Black dating. I'm not saying this only applies to Black people. Anyone can benefit from dating with intent. But I'm speaking to the audience that I know the best because I'm Black and I mostly date Black women. In Black dating culture, especially in modern contexts, fun and chemistry are often prioritized first. We focus on the vibe, we focus on energy, we focus on attraction. Structure and vetting either come later or don't come at all. And the cost of this is long-term mismatches and repeated cycles of failed relationships. And don't even get me started on if the woman gets pregnant and you didn't have these conversations. You see the same patterns over and over again. Strong chemistry, strong emotions, strong beginnings, and then everything falls apart when reality shows up. People start saying things like, "I don't know what went wrong," when in reality, the warning signs were always there, they were just ignored. So let's reframe the first date. A first date shouldn't just answer the question, do we vibe enough to keep hanging out? It should also answer the question, does this person fit into the life that I'm building? And here's the part a lot of people get wrong. Serious questions early on do not have to kill romance. They filter for alignment. They prevent false hope. They actually make dating easier because you stop investing in people who are never going to work long term anyway. Dating should be intentional, not accidental. Attraction matters, but alignment matters more. Talking about big things early is mature, it's respectful, it saves time. And while this message comes from my lived experience as a Black man, it's something everyone can benefit from if they're serious about finding love. If you found value in this video, make sure you subscribe and follow me for more content. And check out this video right here.